So when it comes to binging shows, Ginny and Georgia knows what it takes to bring the drama.
I finally understand why Georgia's always running. I don't know how she does it. Act like everything's normal. I can't help feeling like it's all wrong.
But it was definitely all right when Ginny and Georgia debuted at #1, by the way, on Netflix, thanks to fans watching more than 180 million hours of the series in just 1 week. That's me included, by the way.
Oh, right.
One of the stars of the show, Canadian actor Katie Douglas, who fans know as Abby, is with me this morning now to talk more about the series. Good morning. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
You do such a great job on the show. How I found the show, and I'm sure you've heard the stories of like how I was doing laundry. And I was like, I turned on the Netflix and I was like, oh, this is #1. This is trending. And then I was hooked. I was in.
Yeah, it gets you immediately, really. It's just a very personal show, I find.
And why do you say that, personal show?
It's so great. It's like a phenomenon, really, where we just noticed that so many people can find something in common with this one show. And I think that's kind of like the antidote. I think the more personal we go with it, the more universal it gets.
Yeah, and the more real, I mean, your character, the way you played is just so real.
Oh.
I know you've been in the business for a long time. I'm always curious by process of how you got the job. Tell me about the audition process for you. What was that like?
You know, it's probably just your typical, so I've auditioned a couple times for a couple different characters, and then eventually, I guess the creators noticed that I think I was just a better fit for Abby, and then we went in and did a chemistry read with my castmate Sarah Waisglass and Chelsea Clark. And honestly, I think we found out about a week later that we got it. And it's
do you know in
like
that room when you're doing those chemistry tests? You know when it's working?
This time, yeah. This time we could tell that there was something there.
And how great. I mean, you were born in Burlington.
Yeah, it was.
And this show filmed in Coburg and Toronto, right?
Yeah.
Coburg, that's where I spent a good portion of my life. I went to boarding school in Port Hope. So I spent a good amount of time, you know, tracking between Port Hope and Coburg.
Oh,
what a great spot.
Yeah, you're probably the first person I met who's
oh, really?
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time there.
Hell yeah.
It was only like a 10-minute cab ride from Port Hope to Coburg. That area, what was your sort of takeaway, your favorite parts of that area?
Oh, I thought it was properly lovely. It was actually very quiet, but it was, I couldn't really figure out what type of town it was because it was trendy, but it was also very, very discreet. And we had a great time out in Coburg.
Yeah, and what about those that were non-Canadians? What did you introduce them to in terms of what we do around here for fun?
Oh, you've probably heard about the bagged milk thing.
Okay, talk to me.
Yeah, basically a lot of we have some Americans, we have some Australians, and I think I'm always, as a Canadian, finding myself like explaining the bagged milk thing and
1000%.
not being able to.
Because the reaction is what? Like the looks on the faces are just...
Why? Why do we do that?
Right? You know what's funny is that I bought bagged milk for the first time. I grew up with bagged milk. I bought it for the first time yesterday because it's more cost effective. I bought it for the first time yesterday and my kids are like, they're not as accustomed to the bagged milk, but they're about to be. But it is such a thing.
Yeah, it's totally...
In terms of fans and relating to your character, I'm sure you're hearing a lot about their personalized experience when they talk about what your character is going through.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I've been on the receiving end of some really, really lovely words from people who have felt very represented by the character that I play. And I think that's such a cool thing. But it's also people who are, for the most part, people who kind of like had a bad couple of years who were finding solace in my character. And I just think, I don't know, representation is such an important form of reflection on humanity. And I think the more that we tell these very nuanced and important stories, the more that we can find compassion and empowerment in stories like this. And it's just really nice to be there for people in a hard time.
Well, it's great that you were here for us this morning. We do appreciate it.
Oh,
Congrats
thanks.
on the success of the show.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
And hopefully we'll see you again soon. All right.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.